Hello and welcome to Dice on Ice. I am Connor, the game master of tonight's session of Crifoth Reclamation, Episode 3, The Long Dark. We begin this game with your backs far with your backs to the canyons that you had emerged from days ago. We're following Zion, the Blood Knight woman who you rescued from that wooden cage on the precipice of falling. You've been traveling for many days. Many nights have passed. Many of your rations have been eaten or otherwise consumed. We see a flickering fire now. It is nighttime, where the two suns of Crifoth have set, blanketing the world into a less oppressive kind of heat. And by the light of this fire, you see each other's faces, illuminated by the flickering flame, the only source of light on this overlook. For those of you who can see in the dark, you see just beyond the light of the campfire and see the great drop-off of a cliff that your camp is near. Beyond this cliff is rugged badlands, cracked earth, flatness and sparseness. You're breaking whatever meats, dried legumes, and other food you may have with each other. In this tranquility, what is Carnage doing or saying or looking like or even thinking as he stares into the flickering flame of the campfire?
The sulfur, the acrid, burning stench fills his nostrils. And he's reminded of only, say a couple hours of time?
Days.
Days of time since they encountered that scorch mark on the ground and the most definite smell and scent of demon. And as the sulfur, as the burning heat of the fire kind of wafts into his nose, he looks to Bone Whisperer first. You felt it too, didn't you? I only imagine you did.
Yes, the air. It's different. You two. And she would look to Carnage and Zion. You two must be just jumping out of your skin.
I cannot say that I do not fight my urges to chase my demons from time to time. But I also know that It is not safe for me to run reckless from the rest of you.
And at that, Bone Whisperer would just kind of give her head a slight nod. Then you have learned from the last few years that we have been apart.
And he was reminded of like his youth and his reckless abandon. Yes, Bone. I have learned quite a lot. But it is unsettling. It's almost like a looming feeling. I have not been able to rest well since we've even gotten to camp. And I think he looks to Zion then. What about you?
She pricks her thumb on one of her many fangs in her teeth. She tastes her own blood. And she says, I too do long for that sweet taste. But I've gone so long without it. What's another day? What's another week? We will survive this. Horned brother. But when we dine, it will be a glorious feast. I smell it on the air. It will be soon.
He just sort of stoically grunts. Yes. Well, what can you tell us now that we're here, Zion? Now that we've made camp, what else can you tell us? What is our next step?
The way to the next womb tomb, as I have come to call them. Just one more day's journey past those cracked lands. She gestures to the badlands beyond, at the base of the cliff. One more day of travel, and then miles underground, far beyond what any beast burrows. Into the veins of the earth itself. That is where our destination lies. It'll be a long journey. I've made it once before. I say prepare yourself whichever ways you can. We'll be alone. Alone with our thoughts and alone with our own demons.
And as you speak, you can see that he's listening intently, but at the same time, his hands fidget. He kind of claws roughly at the back of his neck. I too have gone a long time without the feasting. I want to not give in. But it is something I feel is on the horizon regardless. And I think he would look to... He would probably look to Gobachun. And then say, Orc, are you all right? You when the demon came, I assume you didn't seem yourself. Are you all right?
Who could say? Feel okay. Go but you and rest. Drink water. Long journey to come.
Yeah, Carnage would nod. Agreed. And then he would kind of pull from his hip a water flask and just down it, just drown it as quickly as he could, and maybe looking over what bits and scraps that they have for food as far as that goes, he would just sort of reach a clawed hand into the pile and grab maybe a bit of bread or meat and just shove it into his gullet. And from there, just kind of stoically sit and plot while recovering from the ordeal before.
And I think Bone Whisperer would turn to Gift and just offering her a small piece of dried meat, just kind of breaking it, some for her and some for Gift.
You must remember the smell, child. Remember it well. It might save your life.
Smell? What smell?
I encourage you to just sit in silence till you can hear nothing but your own heart beating. Then you will feel it. You will smell it. You will sense it. For a demon permeates every pore, every crack. And you must become in tune with this. That is a way to survive. Those two,
and she would point to Carnage and Gobachun.
one has the innate sense. The other has smelled, has sought for this scent since they were young. But we have to learn.
To trust? You know that's really hard for me. You know how long it took me to even trust you.
You must trust no one but yourself, Gift.
And you.
And at that, Bone Whisperer would just give like this kind of half grin.
Of course, child.
Thank you, Mother. Can I show you something?
Of course.
I've been practicing some more of the sigils, and I think I figured out a new one. But maybe, as you always tell me, I shouldn't waste. I can turn like anything into like a little kind of critter, and it's really kind of fun and neat. But I probably shouldn't waste it, right?
Your time will come. And if it is strong enough, it will save you. So, wait.
Okay. It's just all these new things, and they're so fun, and it's... You're right, Mother. Sorry. Do you think I'll ever make it back to Molten?
Perhaps
I miss
one
Mama and
day.
Papa so bad.
Perhaps one day.
It's so beautiful, and everything's not here.
Yes. That is not here.
Okay, well, trust. Yes, can I just ask you one last thing?
Yes, child.
That lady's name is Zion, and we know what that means. It means paradise, or, that where you think is the best place that you could be. Don't you think that's a little ironic?
And Bone Whisperer would just kind of chuckle, and she would say,
Tieflings are known for their ironic names.
Okay, yeah, because, the leaders back in Molten's name was, well, it was, meant to be, and it was always so strange. We all think you made that name up. And one day I'm going to be a tiefling, and you know that. And it will be glorious. I'll be just like him, and he'll see that I'm really chosen.
You should talk. You know I do not agree with that gift.
They're so powerful. Like, we've seen what Carnage does.
You should talk to Carnage and Zion about the trials of being a tiefling. It is not as great, as grand as you think. Do not let your naivety cloud your judgment.
you can see she's like visibly just kind of getting kind of agitated.
Zion pauses from eating some kind of charred rodent creature, kind of mid-bite, looking at you, Bone Whisperer. Her eyes speak of knowingness.
Do not talk about this foolishness again.
Well, and she looks very frustrated because it is a huge goal of hers, and that she feels as if that she'll be meant to be has told her that if she can make this change, that she can be the leader of the tribe.
Yeah.
And that is very attractive to her. And she looks down at the ground, and eats, some bites of some dried meat. Zion, and Carnage, for that matter, were you either of you human before?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Like all tieflings, was once a human.
Mhm.
Sometimes I still dream of those days when I close my
Why?
eyes.
You're
The dreaming mind is not one of logic, young child. The mind wanders, explores the past, the present, and the possibilities.
Gift looks very confused and not at all trying to make eye contact with Bone Whisperer. But I've been told my whole life that it's like myself a gift, and that if you, and she just looks down to the ground, knowing that she's very much angering Bone Whisperer, and looks to Connor just for a moment. Is it the same for you?
Do you want the whole story? How it feels? If you want an exact detail, I can give you every excruciating, painful moment.
So then you were a man at one point.
More like a child. They took me in when I was young.
Younger than I?
Not much, but they saw potential in me. And unlike you, they forced it upon me.
But I would choose it willingly.
Trust me, if you had this option, you wouldn't. Do not say that naively.
But meant to be says I will be all powerful. And she very quickly looks down at the ground again and absolutely doesn't make any contact with Bone Whisperer.
Zion points to her horns. Do not mistake this curse as a blessing.
Not what I was taught. And she just kind of whines a little bit and actually turns her back to the group, and you can see her drawing sigils on the ground and just practicing. And she's very confused and frustrated that everything that she was taught, as for her entire life, that this is a gift to have, is now being told to her that is a burden.
I think that Carnage, upon seeing this, he places a hand on Zion's shoulder. I'll talk to her. Hold on. And he goes over, and I think he kneels down next to her, his large frame kind of like looming over her like a shadow. I understand what you were told, but some stories, some fairy tales, are not all glitter and gold and happiness. You know what being a tiefling is? Imagine having a furnace inside your gullet every day for the rest of your life. And unless you feed it with that urge to eat, with that urge to feast, do you know what it does to you?
Yes.
It makes you a madman.
No, it doesn't. It makes you a powerful wizard like I am, and I have that same exact feeling, Carnage. But
And
it's not.
Carnage curls his hand up when you say that. Are you going to deny what I have lived, girl?
I'm sorry if that's the way you
I've
took that.
lived it.
That's not. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I'm saying that same feeling that you said that you have, I have the same thing. Do you know the burden that it is to be the smartest person in your village? I'm one of the only people in my whole village that can read and write. And she thinks for a second. I'm one of two people that I know that can read and write.
Good for you. What I will tell you is this. Not all tieflings are the same, just as not all people are the same. So for you to judge me as some... And he like growls right in your ear. God among men. For you to tell me that you wish to be like me, I would not wish this gift, as you call it, on another living soul. So, do not judge me based on the lunacy of another tiefling.
I believe lunacy and brilliance are one step away from each other. And she, again, turns her back to you because she is very frustrated at the fact that everything that she's been taught is now being refuted.
This camp is one step away from certain death. Zion points to the cliff.
Camp safe. Mostly safe. Gobachun call spirits. Spirits protect us. And Gobachun touches just the air in front of her, and the air itself ripples outwards. We've got a little bit of protection, y'all.
Rest your eyes, you four, for we begin our journey again with the coming of the first dawn. And with that, Zion kind of packs her things, stows the half-eaten charred rat in her bag. This ramshackle bag she's assembled together through various dried fibers of dead plants and skins of animals along this journey. And she begins to slumber at the distant edge of the camp.
I think that it's this moment where Carnage is frustrated. Carnage is an angry, pissed off, hungry tiefling at this point. I don't know what you see in that girl, Whisperer. You know what she says is madness. I see the way she looks at Gobachun and mine. She sees these strong survivors of Crifoth. She does not know what we have gone through to continue to survive. You alone have shown her that.
Yes, I have tried. But she does not listen. I'm not sure.
Look, I can only give her so much guidance, and I don't necessarily think that I am the best teacher. There will come a day where I will... where I know that I will need to give in. And I don't necessarily want her to see that. Do you?
Gift has to make her own decision.
If she sees what sort of power... If she sees what sort of power the blood can give, I worry that she'll just be another lost child like me. Lost to Crifoth. I don't want that for her.
If she sips, I have foreseen it. I have spoken with the old bones. If she sips from the blood, there won't be any hope.
I'm going to sleep. We'll take watch. And I think he looks to Gobachun. Gobachun, are you going to be the first to stay the night? Wake me when you're done, I suppose.
All right. Gobachun, watch first. Keep safe.
Gobachun, what say you? Your tribe knows power. Your kind seeks it. In the same way that tieflings need the power of demons, as do you.
Gobachun's tribe, very powerful. Gobachun tribe, one with fire spirits and the rock, make steel. Gobachun's tribe does not accept weakness. All power. But Gobachun someday get back.
You will. You shall feast with your ancestors once more.
Gobachun nods. resignedly. And she flips her braid over. And there is a large brand on the side of her neck. This be with me forever. But a large deed might be good. Get Gobachun back in tribe.
And Bone whisper to look to Zion. Well, and look back to Gobachin, and that is what she has promised. Let us hope that she delivers.
That is why we follow. Gobachun holds out her water skin and offers it to you.
Bone Whisperer would just kind of take it and just kind of bow her head and just only take a little bit and give it back. For someone to offer you their water skin is an immense sign of trust and friendship. And so denying it would be almost rude, I would think, but she does not want to drink that much, enough for a full unit. She just takes a sip and she hands it back.
No matter what happens, we try our best. Warriors.
Bone Whisperer just kind of nods and looks back towards the fire. Rest easy. I feel a darkness coming over the horizon.
All right, so as she Gift kind of beds down, she's not hiding it. She's practicing sigils again. You see her do almost all the time, and she draws one onto the ground and scribbles it out before it activates. And she does it again and again and again. And it's the same one over and over and over again. It looks kind of like a 7 that's sideways, at like 45 degrees. So it's just kind of a straight line up and go straight down. And she keeps doing it over and over again. And she's almost showing off. Kind of. Mother, I'm gonna show you that thing now. And she does it one last time. And you see the sigil go onto the ground and activate, as you've seen with the blue light. And then it almost immediately disappears. I think I figured something out. I did it last night, and it worked. And I'm certain that I can take the sigil I just made and use it later. That one's going to be very useful for me. Except for I just realized that I can't do that one. That's okay because they can't be for self. Arg. But yeah. Well, I'll get a different one, and that's fine. But it's fine. But yeah, it's it's so it's not wasting. It's just using later.
That is good. I will now rest. You too, Gift. I pray you have a dreamless sleep.
I always dream, and they're wonderful. And she kind of just smiles at you, and I've assumed that we're all kind of laying huddled, slightly together. Is it cold in Crifoth of the night or no? No, okay. But she feels at home near you, and she just kind of rubs her face and goes, and I'm gonna see little sis tonight in my dream.
Is all Bone Whisperer says, as she just kind of, she does that thing where she goes on like kind of all fours and then does like a little circle and like curls in on herself, kind of her face touching her tail.
And so the darkness continues to spread its black, inky tendrils over the land as the night turns to deep night. The rising chests and falling chests of those who breathe peacefully in their slumber have nothing but their own dreams or dreamlessness to keep them company. The Gobachunyu stand the first watch. In this blanket of spirited shroud over the campfire, you tend to it, keeping the active, letting it burn softly. Out of the corner of your eye, however, in the stillness of the night, you see it's small, a droplet, smaller than the size of your fist, and it rolls down the hill of its own volition, or perhaps through gravity. It does not run like water does. It is black, it is slick like tar. And it falls down the cliff face, hundreds of feet below where you lose sight of it. Another one follows after it, and another, until you count 13. And on the 13th one, none more pass.
My eyes follow up where they came from. Do I see anything up above?
They did not come from the sky, they just kind of came from behind, and nothing seems to be there. Even with the light of the fire, you cannot see beyond. There's nothing there. You hear nothing, you smell nothing on the wind. But minutes pass and none more roll past you.
None more or 9 more?
None. 0.
Gobachun remains on high alert, but does not wake the others yet. And if nothing else occurs, she'll rouse Carnage awake at the agreed upon time, and say to him, small drops of black, like the evil of the land looked like, went past did not wake the others because they have passed.
Drops, you said. Like an ink? Or water?
Connor, would you say that it would have reminded me of the land corruption? Okay. It's like the evil that takes the water and plant, spreads, and move.
That's not good. No. The affliction. Yes. Yes, I know about that. I will, I'll keep a close watch for whatever it is. You did a good job. Just get some rest. We're gonna need to be at our full strength come morning.
Agree. And Gobachun goes and lays down tentatively. It takes her a while before she finds any kind of rocky semblance of sleep or rest, though.
I think Carnage stands up. You hear this sickening crack come from his shoulder blades as he finally stands up at his full height and just and he goes over and he'll grab his gear, kind of strap it all together, and halberd in hand, he'll sort of begin to take a stand at watch. What would he be able to see, sort of, as he's now looking out into this dimly lit, dark cavern?
You see essentially nothing but more rock and stone. You see a small lizard creep out from under a rock, scurry past, and dig its way in some other dark hole. But the rest of your watch is uneventful, and soon you see the first dawn, as the sky turns from that somber black to a dim orange, then to a bright yellow, and then to a deep crimson as the red emerges from the horizon, casting the world in a heat wave of sheer flame. It is not the kilning, but it is dawn. And that is still quite the temperature difference compared to the chill night. And this is where those of you get your short rest benefits from earlier. This little amble happened to count as one. And Zion begins to stir. As the light reaches her eyes, she blinks. She comes to, not drowsy, not at all groggy, but limber and aware. She packs her things, grabs her walking stick, and stands at the edge of the cliff, looking down those dozens of feet below, looking at the great expanse of nothing but cracked earth and dead lands. What do you do, Carnage?
I think Carnage would walk up next to her. Good morning.
It is.
I haven't done so in a long time. But I suppose there's a first time for everything. Are you ready for hunting?
I fear hunting may not be on our schedule today.
No. What exactly did you have in mind then?
I see a great expanse of flatness ahead of us. And I see my future footprints upon that cracked earth. We have a duty, at least I have a duty, to Crifoth and to the Blood Knights. Though they think me dead, or worse.
Very well. I still don't see why you serve a group. But each their own, I suppose. And he kind of like taps his halberd, the bottom of his halberd, to the sand. We've got our feet underneath us. Let's get the rest of the party up. And let's get moving. The sooner the better. If we wait till midday, we'll practically be scorched out there.
Yes, wake the others. Let's not waste a moment of this early morning. And she begins to advance down a trail, down the cliff face. A steep one, but intact. But she advances slowly to give you for the time to rouse yourselves and catch up to her. And the four of you wake. And you follow Zion down this rocky slope. It is not treacherous, despite the many stones that unfurl and unravel and break off from your footsteps and the weight of your bodies. And you make it to the cliff bottom, the cliff base. And you see where you once camped high above. Many, many feet. She points with her stick to the horizon. We go that way. We follow the sun. It is there where the womb tomb is. It is there, our destination. And so she advances. Who takes the lead behind her?
I think Carnage probably would. Out of just sheer, like, he is hungry. Like, even feeding himself with just regular food is nothing compared to blood hunger. Blood hunger is something that, like, you cannot fathom. And so he is almost blindly just jumping at the chance of, like, we need to go. We need to move. Hopefully I'll be able to kill a demon in the process and drink some sweet, sweet blood on the way out, you know? So that's kind of his mindset at the moment.
And this has been a week since your last feeding, or maybe even more than that. But you will suffer a withdrawal effect as a tiefling who is not fed. I'll need you to roll a d12.
Perfect. Okay. I was actually getting to the table right now so I can look at it. Okay, here's, make sure it's the withdrawal effects and not the feeding effects. There we go.
Yeah.
Blood withdrawals. Okay, perfect. D12?
Yep.
Ooh, okay. So 12. Okay. Sweet. So somehow it's 12. So I survive the bleaching. And says remove all withdrawal effects and you are no longer addicted to demon blood. However, if you consume demon blood again, your bleaching is undone and you are prone to addiction and withdrawal once again. So I think mechanically, even if that is the case, I feel like he seems strong, and I think that's what it is. Like as he's marching next to her, he seems very strong. And it's ironic because as she might be bright red, or maybe even like a paler pink for not having eaten in a couple of days, his face has turned to bone white, almost down to where his lips are now. Half of his lips are like this cracked white chalky color, and the bottom half of his lips are still this paler pink, as if the color itself is just fading away from him the longer and longer that he pushes away this demonic blood. I'm ready to go when you are.
And so we enter the survival phase, and this one will take the duration of the journey itself to the entrance of the womb tomb. You each will have one action before you arrive at this destination. As the sun climbs higher and higher in the sky, Carnage, you can pick first. And which survival action are you wishing to do in this phase?
Let's see here. I think I would like to do, because Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did dent my halberd last session.
You did.
So does that affect my halberd mechanically, or can I go and do upkeep to it, like gear upkeep?
You could definitely, sharpen the blade to kind of get rid of that dent or make it more of a serration than a.
I think then, knowing that I'm preparing for the inevitable possible battle as we head out into these badlands, I think I look at my halberd, and I looked at like Zion, and I looked at the rest of the group, and I'm just not satisfied with my gear. I'm just like, this is unacceptable. So he like gets down near a rock near the edge of the cliff, and he starts to, fuck, this is not acceptable at all. Can't have this if we're going to be fighting. What you call them, Zan? Harbingers?
If you wish to fight a harbinger, be my guest.
I don't wish to be a madman, no. But if we run into more problems, Sasuri are only a handful of issues in Crifoth. If we run into more, I don't want to come ill-prepared.
Wise words.
So I think he would sit down and try to sharpen his blade, affix his gear, get any other rations and stuff that he could possibly get before going on this trip. So what would I need to do?
Because your weapon was not fully broken, I'll give this to you as a freebie. It still costs the exhaustion to do so.
Okay.
But no skill check, just like kind of
Perfect. Okay.
patch up armor in that way.
So exhaustion is 1 point. Like it's just an exhaustion to 1 point, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And who goes next, Chad?
Let's have Gift go next.
Okay, so you've noticed that Gift is not wandered off, but is further away from you than maybe some of you are comfortable with. And she is darting in and out of the little patches of some type of foliage, so on and so forth. And she's clearly looking for. She's foraging, and she's foraging for water. She maybe finds a creature of some sort and kills it, and then forages the water out of it. Over and over and over again. And I would like to try to do that.
Absolutely. Give me your survival or nature, I believe it is. Check.
Yeah, survival. And it's at disadvantage, right?
Yes. Because you're in the middle of nowhere.
So why would it not be that, Oh, that's a really good one. So this one is too. Oh my god, I rolled the same die. It's really big. It's 25. I rolled a 19 twice.
So this will cost you 2 points of exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
But through... And you said you were extracting water from these small creatures you're able to uncover from stones and such, right?
That's what yes.
Yeah, so it'll cost you that spell slot too then, but you get 4 units of water from this whole ordeal.
Okay. And that's not a problem. So she very proudly kind of even struts a bit back to the group, with these units of water, and they're all in water skins. And I think I did something good, Mother. Here. And she hands her one of the water skins, and it's full of water.
Many thanks, my child.
Yeah.
She will take it.
Is there anybody else running low? Because I'm not. And she looks kind of ashamed. I guess not. But yeah, I guess if anybody needs water, I do have some here. Just let me know.
You have water.
Yeah.
I could use some.
And she hands you a full water skin.
Thank you. It'll come in handy later.
Yes, always. I'm sorry I snapped at you. And she kind of just rushes off and walks next to Bone Whisperer.
He looks to you, Gift.
You didn't get a chance to answer her before she walked away.
Yeah, but he still looks in your direction as if he was going to say something, and then you walked away. And then he just nods and shakes his head.
But in your heart of hearts, the first opportunity that she gets, she's going to drink.
Corey, who do you choose to go next in the survival round?
I pick the Bone Whisperer because she kind of walks up next to her.
You see Bone Whisperer as you hear this tearing of rags and different strips of cloth, and then you see her see some sort of succulent with a berry kind of attached to it, and she goes over and she picks it up and she kind of puts it in her mouth and she chews it up and she spits it into this bandage, and she would kind of rub it into this very not tightly woven linen so that these berry bits get in between the fibers. And then she would proceed to just kind of roll it up and set it into her pack. And she is going to be gathering remedies.
So you'll need to make me a medicine or survival or nature check.
I will make a medicine check.
This will cost you 1 exhaustion point.
That is a 26.
And so you're able to find a hive of beetles on this walk. They are living in a skull of some unfortunate soul. And you snatch these beetles out with your long, thin nails. And from their heads, you pop them. And that brain juice itself is somewhat of an ointment you can use to numb the pain of wounds and injuries. And thus you can extract 1 use of a healer's kit from these beetle brains. And you can choose, I guess Gobachun goes next here.
Gobachun pats her water skin, and it's doing okay. So instead, while everybody's tending to their various things, she's going to keep a watch. She's going to survey the landscape and watch for any incoming threats, hazards, anomalies, especially after that shit last night.
Absolutely. You can give me a perception check with advantage because of just how flat the terrain is.
Advantage.
For miles. Yeah.
Woo woo. Uh-huh. That's 18.
So you take 1 point of exhaustion from just climbing up rocks and surveying the landscape as a scout is wont to do. And you can survey you see any threats before they come because you see them a mile away. And what you do see as well, besides any non-existent creatures on the horizon, for there are none, you are completely alone in this crater of hell. You see in the distance this lowering of the ground, a basin of sorts, but is not filled with sand nor water. We can see, like veins in the earth itself, black rivulets coming from this way and that, and this is the epicenter where they all go. Each of these rivers of black oil is small, no wider than your foot.
Oh no. And does Gobachun recognize it as the land evil?
It is definitely the land evil.
She marks its...
Go for it.
I'm just going to say she marks its relative direction and prays that that's not the direction that we're heading.
And when you point it out, Zion says, yes, that is our destination. That is the womb tomb. That is where the Harbinger once slept. It draws all of that to it. Every drop of affliction on Crifoth wants to be here. And some come, some do not.
You would see Bone Whisperer suddenly grab Gift and just kind of set her, like, just not aggressively, but just very firmly kind of keep her straight walking. Whatever you do, do not let that touch you. It will follow you. It will try and grab your life force.
You are to not let it at any cost. Do you understand, child?
Yes, but what is it?
It is called the affliction, and it will corrupt. It's a disease. It's a plague. It will eat you from the outside. It will permeate your mind, your soul, your flesh, and you will become sick, and then you will die.
Thank you for the tip. Thanks.
But Bone Whisperer still does not, like, it's not hard, but just still does not let go of Gift's shoulders.
Where did that come from? It's just, I always have the questions.
No one knows. Some say the demons created it. Others say it was a primordial. And others still say it is just something that came from the hatred of this world.
Oh. And it's such an innocent, like, oh, she says to you. It's I wasn't aware that this world hated us until I left the village. And she just sounds dejected.
And as you make your way to the rise at the edge of this basin, you look down and you can see all of these. It looks like a giant spider web of just many thousands upon thousands of tiny rivulets of oil coming from this way and that, stretching off to the horizon, all converging at this point. You see a great crack in the earth, hundreds of feet wide, dozens of feet wide in the other way, just this giant split, giant gash, a giant scar. It's open, and it leads to some unknown depth. And you can see, staggered around this giant world wound, some structures are built. They're haphazard, they're shoddy, they're made of petrified wood, skinned hides, and other dwellings. They're all on stilts, so that the oil passes beneath them, unhindered. There was one of our camps, Zion says. One of our bases. But soon, it was overcome by those who seek this place for other reasons. We had to abandon it. It may hold treasures for us, things my Kror had left behind, but just the same, it could offer people who don't want us to be here. People who see this as a sacred spot. It is not sacred. That is for sure. But our destination does not lie here in these dwellings, but deep within that world wound itself, that gash in the earth, that cavern that opens and descends miles and miles down. As I've said, I've gone down there once before. It is dark and it is lonely. But we have each other. She looks to Carnage. You and I, that darkness, that blackness, it will not hurt us. But I fear what it must do to those other three.
As do I. What would
Do
you
not-
have us do?
Do not touch it. Do not let it touch you. Do not drink it, though it may smell of water to the mad mind.
And he looks to the current state of affairs as far as like where they could. He looks out and he tries to see like where they might be able to put, footholds, things like that, like where they could potentially step through this without risk or endangering the rest of the party. I think that's his main goal, is like get everyone through safely more than anything.
And you can see that the rocks that make up the ground of this basin, they are staggered, they're sharp, and they're skewery, and they're very, very just haphazard and rough. And so there are many handholds, footholds, almost like stepping stones. You might have to leap from one to another or step and balance. But you do not have to wade through this basin of blackness.
Right.
You can most likely make it to the center without much issue, beyond the exertion of having to hop from stone to stone.
Yeah. So I look back to Bone Whisperer, who's probably got Gift clutched in her hands. Do you think the two of you will be able to make the trek? I don't want us to have to necessarily go through. And he looks down at the ichor that is just slowly seeping toward the epicenter of this cavern. I don't want to risk your lives for the sake of mine, or for the sake of... And he kind of looks to Zion. Theories.
You may turn back now if you wish. Now you see the dangers of this mission. No, with this danger comes reward, comes the pride, comes the knowing of doing something to better this world. And that is why I pressed forward. That is why I urge you to do the same.
I have been hesitant from the beginning. But it would take more than some black oil to end me. We will get through it.
And she would look at Gobachin, and she would just kind of nod to her. You be careful. And she would say something that would be in Orcish, that might roughly like a word or something that might roughly translate something along the lines of may the safety or may the great old ones watch over you, or something like that, some sort of like thing that orcs say to each other when they go on a particularly dangerous stint.
Gobachun nods and replies back also in Orcish with the "and you," which is the standard to return that.
These dwellings look empty, Zion says. A few yards down, she's hopped from stone to stone, now descending into the center of this basin. And you can see from this closer angle that the roofs and tarps and other things holding these dwellings together have been ripped asunder by some great claws or great blades. Some of them lie shattered, destroyed, just fallen apart, whether through time or through raiding, or something worse yet. Let's make haste before the second sun rises and bakes us all. And she begins to hop again, down, this way and that.
Bachun watches the path that she's taking. She's been down before. And basically mimics the same path that she's on.
And those who follow Zion down to the bottom of this basin will need to make either an athletics or acrobatics check, just to keep your footing and make it to the bottom along with her.
I got a 17.
$16.
Math is hard. Hold on a second. Not a very big number. Which ones were they again? I'm sorry.
Athletics or acrobatics, your choice.
Athletics or acrobatics. Well, I'll take that 3 rather than a 1.
All right, so for those of you who are not a gift, you're going to take 1 point of exhaustion just from this climb down. But for gift, you're going to take 2 points of exhaustion instead. The way down was difficult for you, arduous. You had to leap longer. You missed your footing on some, and you had to catch your breath near the end. You made it unscathed. And you see in front of you now this giant wound in the earth. And it is much larger up close than it seemed from afar. It stretches all the way this way and all the way that. And you see that it is just an abyss of pure darkness that lies directly down. You see the oil fall around its edges like waterfalls, but slower like molasses. And they run and they drip, ever so slowly but ever so surely. Zion points to a large stone, this spike of earth that hangs out from the edge of this crack. We can affix a rope here to rappel down. The drop is not that long, but its bottom is quite sheer. I would not recommend jumping down. It's a bit too far for that. Do we have any rope? She glances to the 4 of you.
I believe that Carnage probably would have some. Yeah. And he would unfurl the rope and he would toss it to her.
And she ties this frayed rope. It's dusty and sandlogged, but it still holds strong despite its many years. She ties it firm, gives it a test tug, and then she begins to climb down it. Hand after hand. And soon she becomes swallowed by the darkness. You hear her shout from below. I've gotten to the bottom. It seems quiet. You seem alone. It's relatively safe.
As you say, it's relatively safe. Carnage says, "That's what you never want to say in Crifoth. Relatively safe is never safe."
I see you caught my humor.
And he follows suit, going down the rope. I swear, woman, if you're leading us to some wild demon chase, you'll be leading us to our tombs. That's what you're doing. I will be the first to break you in half if you try to ruin the rest of these fine people with your desires. Do you understand me?
Yes. I knew that from the start. But you have chosen to follow me. And for that I am grateful. I will not betray you in such a way. Or in any way, for that matter. You have my word. Now get down before someone sees you. I do not wish to be followed.
He's going as quickly as a rather lumbering tiefling can, and he just like about halfway down, he lets go of the rope and kind of just like lets his large body just kind of Superman like slam into the ground.
Your boots stick to the bottom. It is a struggle to lift them as the oil clings to the bottom of your soles. You can rest your foot free, but it's with resistance. Watch your step, Zion says. And your devil eyes acclimate to this sheer darkness. The only light is from above. You see that it is a narrow passage that leads down and down and down into the earth. It follows this river of oil as it winds and descends and becomes blanketed in darkness yet again.
As Carnage gets his eyes acclimated to the darkness, I think he would stay there and he would hold fast, waiting for the others to come down the rope, because he doesn't want them to touch this thing at all. It's one thing for him to get it on his boots. It's a whole other thing for them to even be near it. So he would kind of look around his footing and see where there were spots where he could like place his fellow companions in areas where they wouldn't have.
Yeah, you see that this cave has essentially river banks on either side that are safe footing. And one by one, the rest of you descend down into this pit, getting the safe footing on the sides of this black river. Zion leads you further into the darkness. Her voice acts as a sort of beacon or torch for you to follow. For those of you who do not see in the dark, are just completely swallowed by the darkness that is in this cave.
That actually isn't the case, because on the end of her quarterstaff that she carries, she has put the light spell on that.
And so Gift's light acts as a gift to all 5 of you. And you make your way down and down and down. And down further yet. Hours upon hours of trekking deeper and deeper into the earth. You find this river of black oil is your only companion in this journey. And after each pace, you see the river growing wider and wider as small cracks in the cave walls in the earth lead to more of these droplets, more of these tiny rivulets of black oil, adding and adding to this great stream. And soon you find yourselves only able to be on one side of such a stream, for if your companions were on the other side, you'd be hundreds of feet apart. It's a practical canal of river, of oil, excuse me. Your footsteps echo. And echo. An echo. You hear your breathing. It's only your breathing and your footsteps that you hear. Gift. In the reflection of this blue light at the end of your staff, you see your reflection in the oil, just mere feet to the right of you. It catches your eye. For the person you see in your reflection is you, but your skin is a deep red. And you have lumps underneath the hood in which you wear on your forehead. You see this reflection of you whisper and mouth your name.
Hi. And she just kind of waves at it, like kind of cute. Does it wave back at her?
It extends its hand to you, almost touching the precipice at where reflection and reality meet. You hold your hand to you.
Mm-hmm.
What do the others do?
So this visage that she sees in the oil is the visage that she sees in her dreams of her as a tiefling, and it is extremely inviting to her.
Does Gift actually contact with the image or the oil? Or is she attempting to in any way?
So.
Okay. I think at that point, he hears you say hi to something, and immediately Carnage turns his head in that direction, and you hear the flat of the halberd clang against that spot. You now see your reflection of who you are currently, not the tiefling, in the metal of the iron blade.
Do not let the darkness cloud your mind, child. The further we go, the darker the hunger begins. Do you understand?
And just at that moment, the hour has passed and her light fades. I understand. That's the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. And you can see her stand up straight. And she casts the spell once again onto the end of her, in essence, walking stick. Bone told me if I touch that, it will be terrible.
From what I've heard, what I've understood about this,
and he growls as he says it,
affliction, it is a burning that of even the Crifoth sun cannot equal. It is a disease that will eat you alive with only a handful of choices that would save you. That I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemies. So, no, that is not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And he like wipes the blade down the wall and flicks it down the hallway away from her. Now keep moving. The more you let your mind wander in this place, the worse you're going to be off.
And she just hasn't looked at you yet. And oh, okay. Bye. And she kind of gives another little wave to the vision that she sees in the and it's all of her fight to not want to touch it, but she does. Well, I don't know. You can maybe make it as not, or if she does. But she's very interested in touching the face that she sees in the water.
The five of you press on further into this long tunnel, straddling on the bank of this great river. Carnage, it is in the corner of your eye that you see the belly of some great beast split open, its rib cages protruding, that black blood oozing from many lacerations from this corpse, and it soaks the sand around it. And the blood oozes towards you and trickles to your feet.
The man has not eaten. The man has not feasted in quite a long time. The edges of his horns have started to flake. His pallor is white, like a ghost. But as he sees this pool begin to edge his feet, his teeth sharpen, his mouth waters. He licks his lips hungry. Starving, hungry. It is so long since
Keep your eyes on the path ahead, Carnage.
And he reaches out to almost grasp it, and then he hears the sound of Zion's voice. He wants to reach his hand to grip the heart of this beast and just tear into it.
There's a phantasm. Stay your heart.
It has been so long.
Yeah, so absolutely, sure. He's dazed, and it's this and I don't know if it would fully knock him down, I don't know their size comparison, but okay, so she's actually taller than me, but just much more scrawny. Okay. So I think it's the situation of you hit him square in the gut, and he sucks in air. I'm sorry. I haven't eaten in months. Look at me. I'm nearing that blissful state that only a few of us talk about.
Or you may die. And instead she kind of looks to Gift. And she kind of points to Carnage. Does this look like power to you? Does this look like you are a god among men? Look at him. Do not talk. Do not say a word. Just look at him.
And you can see that Carnage is like fighting, and he's in pain, and he's in agony, and it's this weird juxtaposition of I feel okay and I feel at peace, but I also have this aching and tearing urge to just eat everything in my sight that I can see that smells even like demon blood.
If you drink, you will become a slave to the archfiends. You will become a slave to demons. And she would just, at that, she was kind of help Carnage kind of regain himself, just kind of pat him on the back.
Thank you, Bone. I realized that was foolish. I am stronger than the blood. I am stronger than the blood. Stronger than the blood.
And he like grips onto his halberd tightly and uses that to kind of post himself back up into a standing position.
Thank you. I'm ready.
And actually, Bone Whisperer would put out her hand, or like her arm, for Carnage to take if he needed it to kind of help him along. Something that she wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. I think the last time that he'd even seen you do something like that was probably when he was young. And there's like this blink of a flashback where you're doing that same caring sort of instance for him then. And then all of a sudden he blinks, and he's not like a young boy. He's the red hand of a tiefling kind of extends out.
Thank you. I can't allow myself to go back to that madness. I have to keep vigilant. I have to keep strong. For everyone. Thank you.
And she just kind of turns to Gift and says, think about what you saw.
Yeah. I saw a thing. And you can see that she's blatantly lying to you. She is mystified by that, and not in a bad way.
The five of you press on further still. And Bone Whisperer, in this passing time, in this long march where you lose track of the hours, out of the corners of your dull, dim eyes, where the world is fuzzy, you see those piercing orange amber eyes of scavenger birds. They all stare at you. They stare at you like they would stare at a corpse. They look hungry. And as you're enthralled by these eyes, they watch you, they wait for you to fall. You bump into Carnage. Seems everyone has stopped. And this lets you come to. You see that Zion has stopped. She has turned back. You see that this path ends, and beyond is a great lake of affliction. It stretches far in any direction. And this, Zion says, I warn you about what may come. Stay your blades, please, for this. We need utter cooperation for what I'm about to do. And she turns. She holds a stone flint blade up. She reaches her hand over the edge of the affliction. She draws the blade over her palm. And the tiefling blood drops, one by one, into the affliction. And a rumble happens soon thereafter, as stone pillars rise from what great depths of this black lake, forming a pier, a dock of sorts, a great path that stretches step by step into the center of this great lake. It does not reach the center, no, just mere 15 feet or so. And in the distance, you see these eerie, dancing red lights as a figure emerges from the shroud of darkness. It is blanketed in shadow. With one wave, with one stroke of this great embered oar, it paddles through this black tar lake. Stroke by stroke, as it approaches the end of this stone pier that Zion now stands at the end of. Carnage, your nostrils are alight with a smell of sulfur. This is some kind of demon. Zion holds up her hand as if to halt the four of you. She says, "This is our way across. Our destination lies beyond." As I said, cooperation.
You were to ask me. To stay my blade against this.
It is our only way across, Carnage. Don't be short-sighted.
Short-sighted. Fine. For now, I will hold my blade.
Obviously,
Zion,
the hunger is still eating.
Zion steps into this long obsidian boat. She takes a seat on one of the many rows of seats it has. "Now come," she says. "Let the ferryman take you across. I have offered it the price of my soul. As I've done before and all of my Kror has. You do not need to make such a payment, for I've paid in your stead.
Gobachun kind of looks back to Bone Whisperer. Ghoul. And shrugs, like, is this okay?
Bone Whisperer would look.
This might be the first time that Gift and Govachun kind of are on the same page.
You would see Bone Whisperer just kind of look from each, or at each of the people, just kind of just cock her head slightly, and she would just shrug and shake her head in total unsureness, an unsureness that until now hasn't been seen. And she turns and starts walking towards the ferryman, but you can see that she is just almost shaking.
The ferryman stands vigil, unmoving. The boat does not even rock in the water. It is still and motionless. You see no face upon this being's head. You cannot even see its head. It's too shrouded in almost swirling smoke, as if it were not even there. When you approach this figure, this being, it does not react. It does not stay your path. It does not threaten you with its life or its fell magic. You're permitted to enter the boat, you realize. Zion kind of ushers you to take a step in.
I think Carnage would be escorting people onto the boat, but he would be tentative to be on that boat right now. So he is probably going to try and be the last one on the boat.
Yeah, Gift, excuse me, followed the Bone Whisperer quite closely. Probably was even within a touch reach. And as she enters the boat, she looks up at the entity and goes, "Hi." And stares far too long at it.
It does not look at you or react to your gestures or your speech.
He's weird, Bone.
Hush, child. Be on your guard.
Yeah, but he is.
This is unsettling as it is. Gift. No. Just listen and behave. All we can do is begrudgingly stay our hands for now.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Remind me to talk to you about something when we get past all this, she says directly to Carnage.
He nods, allowing you to sort of move toward the boat. and or get on.
Yeah, she embarks upon.
Gobachun will follow.
And so, with the 4 of you, 5 of you, including Zion, on this ferry, this obsidian canoe, you feel its hard, sheer surface, a black glass beneath your feet. It is razor edge in certain points. Some of you might even cut yourself with the tiniest of a cut from its razor edge. As once the 5 of you are seated, the ferryman begins, stroke after stroke, paddling away from this stone pier. And as it leaves, these columns of stone and rock crumble and descend back into the bowels of this dark lake, back into the inky blackness from whence they came. And this ferryman ferries you farther and farther down this great lake underneath the earth. More moments pass, minutes turn to hours. Gobachun, your eyes catch a glimpse over the edge of the boat as images dance on the surface of the glistening oil. You see your mother. You see the warmth of your hut. She has a look of happiness, of warmth on her face. She is embracing you, hugging you. You feel her hug you and hold you as you stare into this hypnotic pattern on the oil. She says in Orcish, soon. Daru. And then you get pulled away by hundreds, dozens of hands, all firm, all green, all Orcish. And you're thrown from this hut. Thrown from a cliff that makes you feel like you're falling for hours before you land with a thud. Your head is cracked. You're alone now. Only the damp earth from your head wound, the blood from your head wound, giving you comfort. You snap to again. You're back on the boat. You see yourself almost completely bent over the canoe. Your whole torso just inches from the surface of the affliction. Who has reached out to stop Gobachun from completely falling into the water or into the oil?
Wow, thanks, friends.
Sorry, I was rushing to find the mute key and I couldn't find it real fast. I think oddly enough, it's actually Gift. Because she knows what that feels like. And I'm assuming that Gobachun doesn't wear armor, right?
She's got like a vest, but mostly her outerwear is like flowing kind of, not quite robes, it's just a flowing garment.
Yeah. She grabs you by the back of it and just gives you a tug. And then looks back at the rest of the group and says, if I can't go in, neither can she. And it's really creepy.
Gobachun starts. What? Where? What?
Yeah, that black stuff seems to want to take us. And I didn't let it. I saved you again. And it's pretty snarky.
Gobachun exhales and pats you on the shoulder. Big meaty hand.
You don't have to say thank you. Can you do that?
Thank you?
Yeah. Yeah, that means that you appreciate what I did.
I just look over at Bone Whisperer, confused and weary, and slump back into my seat and put my hands over my face. 'Cause that was a lot.
But even she's lucky I didn't let her fall in. And she goes and moves up a seat from where we go between, and she goes and sits next to Zion. Yeah, Gift is far too comfortable on this boat because she feels like it's, you guys told her to go on there, so she's like moving around too much. Yeah, being young and naive.
And every time she moves, she rocks the boat this way and that. And people in Crifoth are not really accustomed to the rockings of a boat. And so some of you might find that a little bit nauseating, to say the least.
Sorry, too many screens. Wisdom saving throw. That's not bad. 17. 11 plus 6. Mm-hmm. And she leans over to Zion, like I said, who I'm sitting next to now. And I did notice what you did. She tried to cast something on me, and it didn't work. And she kind of giggles.
Don't let that get to your head, young one. Perhaps it means she was just trying to warn you. I see wisdom in that ancient lizard's eyes. And something yet else. I cannot quite discern it. I do not know many of the lizard folk.
And I meant to be talking at the same time as you. Yeah, that's why Mama and Papa allowed me to go with her on this quest. But, they told me that I should call her mother because she kind of is my surrogate, but she's not.
I gathered that she's not your mother.
It's...
Shh, child, we're almost here at the oil's edge.
She's holding me back. And it's the last thing that she says to her.
Yeah, and she cuts you off, gesturing to the bank that's approaching. The dim light of your staff and the red flickering light of this ferryman's oar illuminates where the oil meets the cavern's rocky edge. And soon the ferry approaches and rests against this bank of this lake. Zion disembarks. She holds her hand to those in the boat still to help them over the boat, to get their sure footing. one by one, reaching for Carnage first.
Yep.
Then to Gift. Then to Bone Whisperer. Then to Gobachun. You all find yourselves on solid surface once again. We are nearly there. It lies just beyond this, Zion says. She turns around yet again and begins to lead the way down. Down again. Beyond this lake. And it's following more oil that's dripping off from this great lake and streaming down further yet into the great bowels of the earth. And you follow this small creek for more hours. The pangs of hunger set in as each of you gain one more point of exhaustion from this trek. Thankfully, the coolness of the earth hides and protects you from the heat of the suns miles above. And you see, finally at last, when Zion points it out, and this is our goal, a great cavern opening. It is many feet wide. As many rivulets of oil converge on this point yet again. Just like the great world wound up above. And you see at its center, the oil has strung itself up into the air, stretching from stalagmite to stalactite. And at its center is a great, many-armed creature, spindly, like many human bodies, plastered together in some horrid way. It chitters with many teeth, many jawbones clacking against strange skulls that it makes up its face. This is where you are. We see the screen here. This spiderish being at the center of this giant slick of oil. It chitters to you. So you've come right into the corpse weaver's trap. And it twangs with its many, many appendages on these strands of oil, like a spider web. And from those vibrations, the oil stirs. The oil all around you reaches up like fingers, beginning to grab at you. And that is where we'll end this session.
Damn, son.
That is terrifying.
Can
Oh, awesome.
yeah. Wow. A whole bunch of wow.
So we can do our little outros. This is Crifoth, down in the bowels of the earth, far from the horrors and bleakness of above, and facing our different horrors down below. This is what you might find if you were to peruse the campaign setting supplement that Dice on Ice, me and Megan, have released and is now available on Drive Thru RPG in both softcover and digital versions. If you're interested in that, you can pick it up. We ran an advert for that book earlier in the stream. If you want to rewind this YouTube video to near the beginning, it should be around that 4-minute mark. Don't hold me to that because I am not a mathematician. With that said, we'll do outros of these wonderful players who went on this journey with me deep into the earth, through the long dark. We'll start with Chad, who played Carnage today.
Yeah, guys. Hi, my name is Chad Nick. I play a tiefling, struggling with whether or not he wants to be like a feasting demon or, pacifist demon. But we'll see. Anywho, I really love playing this character, and then getting to kind of explore him on that level tonight was really cool. So Connor, thank you very much for running this and doing this awesome thing. I love playing on Dice on Ice. I love this whole group. Everybody just makes all these characters come to life every week. So for those of you who do not know who I am, yeah, my name is Chad Nick. You can find me on YouTube at Chad Nick, K-N-I-C-K. I play some games over there and talk about voiceover stuff, and it's pretty neat. Other than that, I'm also 1/3 of a little known podcast known as The Dudes of Yore, and I also play over at Rob Coletta's channel, Performance Check, where I play a dragon named Taxes in a little game called The Lore Keepers. Other than that, I'm out, guys. This has been an awesome night. Thank you so much.
And Corey.
Yeah, guys. My name is Corey. I've been on this channel a few times. I've been on Chad's channel a few times. I've been on a whole bunch of channels. I like to play. I like to play this character a lot. Don't take her for cocky. She's naive, as I said in our chat here. She's naively confident because she lived in a bubble all of her life. Gift is, as I said during the game, she's unfortunately the smartest person of where she comes from, and it's not going to be good for her probably. And she really does supremely want to be a tiefling, so it's we'll see how that goes for her. Probably not great, but it'll be fun to figure that out. Oh, and I'm a part of the Dargon Gaming Squad. Kind of looks like Dragon, but it's a DR, so yeah, whatever. And that's with some of our other friends in the AbTab community. And yeah, I'm playing far too many games. Just look, you'll find me. Thanks again. I love your setting. Amazing.
Thank you, Corey. Tamiko.
Hi, I'm Tamiko. I played Gobachun. I am really digging this game. Connor's bringing it. It's fantastic. Can't wait to see what happens next week. I do not have my own channel to tout, but I do want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so before, sub to the Dice. You won't regret it. They've got a lot of great stuff. Hit the like button, all that stuff. And if for some crazy reason you want to see me play in other games, I have a few that I'm in on this channel. And I'm also in a weekly Wednesday game on a Twitch stream under the name Lunch Baux. That's BAUKS for the Baux. So yeah, that's basically like my home game, and it's a lot of fun. So you can check that out if you want to. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Tamiko. And next we have Megan. And thank you, all my players, for making this this ferry ride an enjoying one. And we will catch each other and all of you in the chat and all of you future viewers next Tuesday and every Tuesday thereafter. This is a weekly Tuesday game. Next Tuesday, they will find themselves in the strands of the Corpse Weaver. And with that, Megan, can you take us the Crifoth out of here?